Hey there, you join me in the all-new Hyundai Elantra, and I know what you're thinking. Is this car really brand new? Now, I know it can pass off as a mere facelift of the old one, but believe me when I tell you this car is completely new inside out. For starters, it's based on an all-new platform that make it longer and wider than the outgoing model. That said, the design is unmistakably Hyundai and unmistakably Elantra. Yes, the fluidic design language is subdued now. The borderline vulgar curves have been traded in for a set of clean and crisp lines. We love the way the roof simply dives into the boot, giving it an almost coupe-ish profile. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the front profile though. The droopy headlamps and the large hexagonal grille are striking, but good looking, I'm not too sure. You also get a set of projector fog lamps that now sit in an L-shaped housing that have functional air vents. The 16-inch alloys wrapped in 205 section rubber and the LED tail lamps tie up the design neatly. And this is a Hyundai, so naturally it is loaded to the gills with features. Now, what's my favorite? Well, it has to be the ventilated seats. I cannot tell you what an absolute boon it is, especially considering that the Elantra wears an all-black theme. The quality of materials have gone up a notch. For instance, there's nice soft touch material on the dashboard, the grab handles move up in a nice damped fashion, and everything you lay on feels built to last. And while the layout is functional, straightforward, and easy to use, I have to say that it lacks the wow factor that the Skoda Octavia has. Then there's the usual D-segment fare. Plush leather upholstery, dual zone climate control, a sunroof and a TFT screen for the MID. It also gets an 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system that gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But what about the rear where the owner is most likely to sit? No complaints with regard to legroom here, even for someone my size and with the driver's seat set to my driving position. The cabin also looks wide enough to accommodate 3 people in the rear bench, but the one sitting here in the middle might have his knees brushing against the seat. Headroom is slightly compromised thanks to the sloping roofline, and I would have liked a bit more under-thigh support as well. But what I do miss dearly are the audio controls that the 5th generation Elantra used to have right here in the rear armrest. But instead of that, we just get a set of practical cup holders instead. Then there's another cool party trick too. Like much expensive cars, the Elantra has a hands-free boot release. Simply have the key in your pocket, walk towards the car, and the trunk will open within 3 seconds. And the boot is genuinely large enough to swallow a weekend's worth of luggage. Overall, the cabin is a nice place to be both at the front and the rear. Now the Elantra gets 2 engine options, the same tried and tested 1.6 litre diesel motor and this new 2 litre 4-cylinder petrol. The engine puts out 152 PS of power and 186 Nm of torque. And first impressions are that the engine is extremely refined and eerily silent. Now bear in mind there's no insulation under the bonnet on the petrol variant, despite which you can barely hear the engine. It's only when you push the engine really hard up to 4,000 maybe 5,000 RPM when you really start listening to it. Now the 6-speed automatic gearbox is the same torque converter unit that we've seen on many Hyundais in the past, and it is fairly well suited to the bigger motor as well. The ratios are well spaced out and there's minimal lag between shifts. The Elantra also gets two drive modes, namely Eco and Sport. Shifted to Eco, the throttle response becomes fairly dull. It prefers to upshift quite early and extract that extra bit of mileage. Shifted to Sport, and the gearbox will hold the revs right up to the 6500 RPM red line, at which I must add the engine sounds really nice. That said, the exhaust is fairly muted. Now, talking about the 1.6 litre diesel, the power figures have remained completely unchanged. It continues to produce 128 PS of power and 260 Nm of torque. But thanks to the new platform, the NVH levels, especially on the diesel, are well under control. The diesel engine feels one bit peppier now, and the manual version also returns a segment best 22.54 km to the litre. The noise, vibration and harshness levels were amongst our only concerns with the diesel Elantra, but this generation has thankfully addressed it. I wasn't too impressed with the braking. The pedal felt slightly numb and spongy, and some more feedback would have been much appreciated. Ride quality is really nice and it almost feels European. It doesn't bob about like the old Hyundais and feels planted at triple-digit speeds as well. The suspension is set up for comfort, and at low speeds the Elantra dismisses most broken roads without breaking a sweat. Dynamically, it is miles better than the older one as well. The steering continues to be super light at low speeds, but weighs up just enough when the going gets fast. There's just about adequate feedback to know what the tires are up to, and cornering is generally a fuss-free affair. That said, the eco-spec tires are slightly noisy and tend to take away from the experience. Prices for the new Elantra here start at 12.99 lakh for the base petrol variant and go all the way up to 19.19 lakh for the top spec diesel. Mind you, these prices will be in effect till the end of this year only and will be revised from January 2017. The new 2-litre petrol motor is refined and is a definite leap in terms of quality compared to the old 1.8. Admittedly, it isn't the most enthusiast-friendly sedans around, but it'll do just enough to keep him happy as well. The fly in the ointment, of course, is that the features that we love so much is sadly limited to the top spec trims. But overall, we have to say that Hyundai have managed to make the Elantra even better.